So, in this segment of Black Table Talk Daring Dialogues, we're going to be talking about Don't Be a Fast Girl, how hitting your daughter can trigger early puberty. Now, I did not know this before I read this book, Spare the Kids, Why Whooping Children Won't Save Black America. I did not know this beforehand, but looking back on my childhood, it kind of makes sense. And now there is some science behind it. So, again, we are just introducing this particular chapter. We're not going to get through the whole thing, but we're going to read enough tonight so that we can have a conversation around it. And again, if you want to talk about Girl CEO or you want to talk about Fort Mose, feel free to do that. This is our last reading for tonight. One common goal of Black parents is to pace the budding sexuality of their young children as they grow into adolescence. This is especially true for girls, as a young woman's chastity is somehow a reflection of her family's values. In a lot of families, there are firm rules around what is permitted. No makeup until a certain age, no dating until a certain age, no skirts or tight shirts. Don't be fast, stay out of trouble, and whatever you do, don't bring home any babies. These rules are pretty universal across ethnic and class groups, but some may argue that for Black parents, the strictness is even greater because the consequences are clear. Girls who've broken these rules make for easy cautionary tales about lost opportunities, bad choices, not listening to parents, and the importance of keeping one's knees or legs closed. Not to mention, a fast Black girl seems to confirm stereotypes of wanton Black female sexuality, which is often, we know, played out in film and media. Beyond steady exhortations not to do it, sex is generally not a topic of polite conversation in our homes, our churches, or the larger Black community. It touches on too many taboos and toxic racial and gender stereotypes. On top of that, generational traumas, rape or forced breeding during slavery, gynecological abuse and forced sterilization by white medical practitioners, misogyny, sexual objectification, and all of these things in popular culture have deeply impacted how Black girls are raised by their parents and by other elders. Black parents see a correlation between sexuality and more hardship. That's not something they would ever choose for their child. Religion also plays a significant role here. Parents who are steeped in religion respond negatively to any hint of sexual activity. That stifles important conversations about it even more. Then, bubbling just beneath the religion and male dominated structure of this society, where protecting a girl's virginity is crucial, are the respectability politics that encourages parents to keep young Black bodies under control. And so, we whoop girls to try to maintain that control and to maintain in them a semblance of innocence. By keeping our kids young, we somehow feel that we are protecting them from the stereotypes and criminalization that get directed at Black bodies often. In our culture, many people believe that raising up good children requires policing their bodies through force. But decades of scientific research on the biochemical consequences of spanking a child indicate there is reason to believe that hitting a child can accelerate puberty and sexual maturation in girls, the very thing that some parents are trying to avoid. For 50 years, scientists have studied how the impact of children's experiences, including how they are parented, can rewire their developing brain's physical structure or social and emotional function. We've learned that drinking and smoking during pregnancy is harmful. Breastfeeding is good for an infant's psychological development. We've also learned that good nutrition is key to a children's cognitive development. And now, pediatricians and other biomedical researchers have added spanking to the list of practices that need serious reconsideration because of the potential harm to children's developing brains. The pain and stress that come with receiving a hit can alter what's called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which is a series of nerves and hormonal channels that is a major part of the neuroendocrine system, which controls reactions to stress and regulates body process such as digestion, the immune system, mood, emotions, and sexuality. Exposure to only mild stress in early childhood can enhance the HPA functioning and help young people to develop lifelong resilience to stress. But repeated stress can cause this axis to become hyperreactive. So when parents hit their child to correct misbehavior, what they cannot see is the immediate biochemical response that their pain has caused their child's body and how over time it can cause emotional and physiological damage. It's akin to a kid being fed a constant diet of junk food and then eventually developing obesity or diabetes. The 1990s saw the beginning of extensive research by psychology professors from the University of Rochester on how physical discipline, unpredictable environments, and chronic stress actually impact brain growth. Constant hollering, belittling, threatening, and hitting your child sets off biochemical responses to stress that can change the physiology of their brain and lay the groundwork for a low IQ, a quick temper, aggressive and delinquent behavior, depression, suicide, drug and alcohol abuse, an inability to regulate impulse, early intrusive sexual thoughts and activities. A 2012 study published in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine revealed that beating and insulting children can put them at risk for adult cancer, cardiac disease, and asthma. In other words, whether we believe it or not, the body is keeping score. So, though you may think that sticks and stones may break your bones and words will never hurt you, the exact opposite is actually true. The body is actually keeping score on what is occurring. So I'm going to stop there for this evening. We are going to continue this topic of Don't Be a Fast Girl. If you want to check out the book, again, I'll hold it up for you. It is called Spare the Kids, Why Whooping Children Won't Save Black America by Dr. Stacy Patton. All right. For those of you who are on my Facebook live stream, we are going to do our talkback session on Periscope. You will be able to listen in, but they'll be talking to me through Periscope. So if I'm not looking directly at you, just understand it's because I'm having a conversation over here, but you'll be able to listen in. All right. So we covered 3 things tonight. We talked about Black history, Fort Mose, near St. Augustine, Florida. We talked from the book Girl CEO, and we learned about, make sure I get her name right, Ayanna Howard, founder of Zyrobotics. And then we talked about Spare the Kids, Why Whooping Children Won't Save Black America. All right. I see somebody who is in my queue already. Let me make sure I invite others who want to talk back tonight. And let's see what my time is here. Scroll down. All right, we've got a good 30 minutes. And Pastor Ben is on first. Let's see if it'll add you. It's spooling. All right, Pastor Ben, you're probably going to need to try it again. We'll take Lady Barbara. Good evening.
Good evening, Prophet Shante. How are you today?
I'm fine.
I'm going to start with what we just left, because that just opened up something for me. Is what I understood was the verbal abuse, the beating. I had a problem with comprehension.
Mm.
But I later on got to understand, even when I went through the coaching with you, I think I wrote a part about the abuse where I found a part because of the yelling and the beatings, I had a problem comprehending. For a long time, I struggled in certain areas because of that.
Wow.
And I got to understand that when I went through the coaching, because I couldn't understand. It's like I could see the person's mouth moving,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't getting what they were saying to me. And so when I went to school, going to school in the 1950s, I thought something was really wrong with me. The other problem I had with math, I could transpose a math number, mess it all up, and couldn't get the right answer because I would transpose or which move the numbers around because I saw them differently than what it actually was on the page.
Now that is actually called dyscalculia.
Mm.
I used to I taught at a school that was for dyslexic students. The entire student body was dyslexic, and that was like the math side of, most people know about the reading side, but the math side is called dyscalculia, and it's where you transpose numbers. Or you might see, for example, 659, but you might write 956.
Yes, exactly.
But that is an actual learning difference.
Mm-hmm. But I had that with math. Now, reading, I did good in all the other topics, but the math part for me is where I really, really struggle. And also, Iana Howard, she said, do good to do well, which is powerful, and how her desire was to help those who had brain injuries and who had disabilities. So she had a heart for helping them to be able to be functional. So I find this is very, very good. And I love this time of Black women in history because we get to find out about women that we didn't even know about. In 1999, you said at the age of 27, she was working for NASA. So it's like very impressive that we don't get to hear all the history about Black women, but I thank you for that. And the history of Folk Mosaic is just so powerful that we get to see how, because the thing we always hear is, they enjoyed slavery, but these people were fighting for their freedom.
Right.
As we go on and see our history, they weren't just sitting back. There were people fighting to be free to have their own. So I just want to say thank you tonight and appreciate you for the history, and that as we learn so much about Black women in history, so much about our ancestors and how they fought to be free. And this Spare the Kids is just, sometimes I can reflect that because I see things now that I understand better about myself. So thank you so much.
Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. Again, if you want to check out a book, I believe this one may be online and possibly in an ebook. So for those of you who want to start reading it maybe right away, you could check online. It's called Girl CEO. And it is an entire book of trailblazing women. It's a great read for this month, for Women's History Month. Also, this one is called Fort Mose. And this one tells the story of of St. Augustine and this particular fort, and how the enslaved were escaping to Florida, how they, formed militias, and how they were a part of defending their right to remain free. Yeah. We don't really hear a lot about Fort Mose. Go ahead.
And then can I show, in Fayetteville, North Carolina, they found 7,000 N95 masses in a storage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they donate them. Yes.
Well, that's great. That's good news.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yes.
Lady Barbara, for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Take care.
God bless.
God bless. All right, Pastor Ben, let's try you again. Hopefully he'll let you on this time. There we go. Good evening. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with my phone lately. Okay, now let's go back to one of our discussions about sparing the rod.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's going to be some people that see this on Facebook,
mm-hmm.
and they're going to say, the Bible says.
Mm-hmm.
See, does everybody want to, and the Bible doesn't say spare the rod, spoil the child. It does not say that.
It doesn't.
It doesn't say that.
Nope.
But they will quote it.
They
but
will.
Can't tell you where to find it.
They
you
will
won't
say
find
it
because it's not there.
It's a poem.
It's a poem, yes. But the verse that they're trying to tie to it, I think it's in Proverbs 3rd chapter or something like that. But it says, he who spares the rod hates his child or hates his son.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it says.
Yes.
And that has to do with giving him instructions when he's going astray.
Correct. It has nothing to do with physically beat. It has nothing to do with a physical beating.
Beating your child.
At all.
It has nothing to do with it. So I just want to throw that in there because, like I said, you're going to have some people that are going to say, well, the Bible says, so I'm just going there with that, Now, I often like to use my own experience in these discussions.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest daughter, we have, you want to talk about, I always had a great relationship even when she was in the womb. Mm-hmm. Because I would talk to her. If her mom would do something I didn't like, I would say kick her, and she would kick her. And that's real. Seriously, she would. And we always had a great relationship. This is so great that, see, I'm going to show you something. See, I spoke to her one time. She was about 2 years old. I never touched her again. Never. Because I felt that it hurt her more that I spanked her than the actual lick did, right? Mm-hmm. 32 years later, we passed by that spot, and she remembered it.
Wow.
She said, I don't know what I did. She said, but I remember you spanked me there. Mm. And I was like, wow. And that's what I would always tell people. It probably hurt her more that I did than the actual licks. But now I said that to say this: I never touched her again. Mm-hmm. Never.
Well, as they're finding out, the body is keeping record.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
The body keeps record. You look at the whole study of epigenetics now that everybody is into, where it's talking about the trauma that is stored in the DNA that's carried through generations. Genetically, right? If we can understand that trauma can be delivered through genetics, then surely putting your hand on the person is also being carried.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think and I think some parents do it because they understand that, yes, if I hit you, you'll remember it, but they're not looking at the negative effects of you'll remember it. They're not looking at these other factors that come into play later on with that person's health.
Right. No. She got pregnant not just before, it was a few months before her 25th birthday. Right? She wasn't married. She called me. I already knew because it was like the Holy Spirit let me know that she was pregnant. I never said anything. So when she called me to tell me she couldn't, So I told her, I knew why she was calling. I knew what she was trying to say, but she couldn't. So I told her. She said, well, why didn't you say something? I told her, I said, I know. I said, I know. She said, why didn't you say something? I said, because I wanted you to tell me. But she couldn't tell me, and she thought that I would be disappointed. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I said, listen, you are a grown woman. I said, I would prefer that you were married. I said, but you are a grown woman. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I believe you'll make a great mother. Mm-hmm. And she is a great mother. Mm-hmm. She is. And, but our relationship is still great. I mean, when it comes down to me or her mother, it's going to be me every time. It'll be me every time because our relationship, that's our relationship. Our relationship is like that. She can call me and say, Dad, I need this. I'm there. Boom, because she doesn't ask unless she really need it.
Yep.
See, now on the flip side of that, she'll call me and say, Dad, I got something for you. Come stop by. I'll go by and, she'll throw me something. I can't turn it down because to turn it down is to take away her pleasure of doing something for me. Mm-hmm. See, because I'm always doing it. She told me, she said, Dad, you're always doing something for me. I just want to do something for you every now and then. So I go ahead and accept that. But then when she do that, I always turn around and maybe use it on a tool or something, mm-hmm. and then let her see what I bought with it.
Awesome.
So she's, I mean, it's like when it comes to her dad, and then everybody I meet that she works with or some friend of hers, I heard a lot about you. I mean, that's what I get every time. And then I end up being their father. So, I mean, that's our relationship. But awesome. Now, my older sister, her youngest two, she never touched them. Mm-hmm. Never touched them. She would whisper in their ear sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I want to know what she was saying, but she won't tell me. But she never touched them. Whatever she said, they would straighten up. And they're great children. Mm-hmm. Well, not children, they're adults. But hey, they turned out to be great.
And I think just from this segment, I think the irony of wanting to keep your child young, but not realizing that your methods of keeping them young is actually maturing them faster. I think that is a big irony. Like the things that we've been told are supposed to work to keep your child in line or to discipline them is actually producing the opposite of what you want to happen. I think that's what struck me about this chapter, because like she said, a lot of times, especially in our culture, in our society, especially in the United States, you don't want your child to be seen as sexually mature too fast, right? You don't want your 12-year-old daughter to be looked at like she's 16. Uh-huh. Or you don't want your 16-year-old daughter to be looked at like she's 25. But yet, if you are practicing spanking, you are actually maturing her sexually with her body and everything faster than it's supposed to mature. You're actually stirring up things that you are jump starting her sexual maturity before time. And I hope that some parents hopefully tonight will hear this and begin to really think about how they're disciplining, especially their daughters.
Yes.
Because you hear women saying things like, oh, she's getting too fast. But think about it. Your behavior is driving it. You may not think it is, but your behavior is actually physically driving her body to maturity before time. So, Pastor Ben, thank you for your time and attention.
Always.
Appreciate you. Stay safe and stay healthy. All right. So that is our conversation for tonight. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host tonight, Shantae Charles. If you're watching this by Facebook Live and you want to listen to the entire broadcast, you can go to my Periscope, and I'll leave the link down here for the full broadcast. And I hope that you take a moment to click on that, follow, subscribe, listen to the entire broadcast. And I hope that you have a great and wonderful evening. Take care, and God bless.